Joining me ahead of tomorrow's National Bush Summit, starting in Tamworth tomorrow, is of course Barnaby Joyce, the Nationals frontbencher and a former Deputy Prime Minister. Barnaby Joyce, always great to see you. Can we start with Rudd before we get to the Farmers Summit?
Andrew.
Is he right? Does Anthony Albanese right now have a harder job than Kevin Rudd as Prime Minister?
Andrew, certainly he had Mr Albanese's got a harder job. But what I have to say is that it's not whether you got a harder job, it's whether either of them are capable of doing it. It's like saying, well, someone had to swim halfway across the creek and someone had to swim the full way, but if they both drown, it really doesn't matter. What we've seen also from Mr Rudd, I knew Mr Rudd. Mr Rudd was, oh my God, he was a control freak. And he liked to get ahead by belittling others, thinking that somehow assuaged his ego. Now, when he talked about, we've got a conference here in Tamworth. He talks about global warming. We talk about socialism taking over our land, putting transmission lines, compulsory acquisition, our lives completely changing. Even environmental laws just tossed out the window for the sake of overseas companies swindling Australians, forcing up the price of power so pensioners can't afford it. These are the things that are before us. Cost of living, they're the things that are before us. People who can't afford their power bill, can't afford their rent, can't afford their food. That's what's before us. But I didn't hear Mr Rudd talk about that. His grandiosity, no. He's up there with the stars. It's, it's almost like listening to Socrates, Plato and Rudd, and that's how he sees himself. Now, Mr Albanese, he has,
true. Look, I'm sorry to laugh.
Task in front of him.
Yeah,
but so
it's
far,
true. I'm afraid it's absolutely
he's done
true,
some
Barnaby.
good things, sticking to AUKUS.
But listen, I tell you what.
Well done.
Yeah,
Deciding that he's going to get into international
Barnaby,
politics over Israel, stupid thing, shouldn't have been done.
Well, look, one problem. Look, you're mentioning problems there, Barnaby. But one problem the government has invented for itself.
Swindle Australians out of billions of dollars, a $7 to $9 trillion investment that somebody has to repay. That's what your renewables are going to cost us. How he decided that was good for our nation, God only knows.
Well, look, you mentioned one problem that Labor is actually inventing rather than solving. And another one, of course, is this plan for the voice, right? And you see it right now, Barnaby. To sell the voice, the government, of course, can't now look like it's doing anything that it hasn't consulted with Aboriginal groups over and has listened to them. It can't offend them. So what are we seeing? Last month, for instance, it stopped a wind farm in the seas 10 kilometres off Portland, Victoria, because local Aborigines said, oh, look, we've got a spiritual connection to the area. And today, the government's resources minister scrapped plans for a nuclear waste facility at Kimber, South Australia, that's meant to handle medical waste. We're running out of storage for it. She won't challenge a federal court decision that stopped it on a technicality because, again, she said, local Aborigines do not want it. Here she is.
Today, I want to make clear in regard to the principal matter that I did not intend to appeal the judge's findings of apprehended bias. I have reached an agreement with the Bungala Determination Aboriginal Corporation on costs.
Barnaby Joyce, this kind of stuff is a warning, isn't it?
Well, it is. What we see there is that's consultation, the magic word consultation. Remember, the voice doesn't have the right of veto. I agree. But by gosh, they have the right of consultation. And if you don't consult in the appropriate form, if you err, if you put too much emphasis on an area, if you abscond from another area, they will trot off to the High Court and say that process means that your decision is null and void, as if it never happened. And because you didn't follow the proper process of consultation as enshrined in the Constitution by your vote in support of the voice, which, by the way, you never saw. Yes, I have. Have you got me?
Yeah, I've got you. Barnaby, just finally, there's some problems with our audio connection here, so I'll just end it on this one. To the Bush Summit. It's sponsored by News Corp. The Prime Minister's going to give a keynote address. It's a big deal. And you, of course, are definitely going to be there with your R.M. Williams on. What needs to be thrashed out there?
There are people from Ravenshoe in North Queensland to Tasmania that are part of this new political action committee that are saying we have to get our rights of what happens on our land sorted out. We have governments that just now are compulsorily acquiring our land, putting in 1 kilometre corridors. We have our corridors you can't farm under, you can't fence under, they've got access to. It's foreign companies that then end up owning it, wind factories, solar factories, and for the people of the western suburbs of Sydney and the western suburbs of Brisbane, a power bill they can't possibly afford from this. We've got to sort that out, and we've got, I hope, a big crowd of people arriving here tomorrow. They'll be polite, they'll be lawful, but they'll be loud and very unhappy.
And I bet that not one of them will talk about artificial intelligence. There you go. Barnaby Joyce, thank you so much for your time. Have a very successful summit. Thank you.